Freedom motif is my favorite subject from all of Deltarune. I don't know why, but I really like the concept of an important music motif connecting the secret bosses in this game. That's why today we'll talk about its meaning for all of the characters and why it matters for Chris and for the future chapters. So let's begin. We're introduced to the freedom motif for the first time in the circus and in the world revolving. In the case of the circus, it's hard to hear it because of the 3/4 time signature and not the 4/4, but if we change it, you'll hear the well-known motif. Both of those tracks are related to JEVIL, the secret boss of chapter 1. But back then, nobody thought this melody could have any deeper meaning. We only realized it after chapter 2, where SPAMTON had the same motif in the song Big Shot and Dial Tone. The name of the motif created by the fans is the freedom motif because both characters are strongly associated with it. During the fight with SPAMTON and JEVIL, the text says the air crackles with freedom. JEVIL's whole character is created around irony. He believes that everyone around him is imprisoned while he is the only free one despite being literally locked in a cell. This theme is the most important element of this character. He believes he is free while in reality he's not. His freedom is based on knowing what this world is. Thanks to the shadow crystal, he knows it's only a game. The Roaring Night, long before Chris and Susie came to this dark world, gave him a shadow crystal which changed his personality completely. He's gone insane because he learned the truth. He tells himself he's free, but he's just as trapped as the rest. His consciousness cannot help him in any way. SPAMTON, on the other hand, when he transforms to his new form after Chris keeps the deal, is terrified that his new form, which he thought would give him freedom, has marionette strings attached to it. He also got the shadow crystal from the night and understood what kind of world he lives in. He attacks Chris as he believes that their soul will give him freedom. When we try to cut off his strings, he will understand that Chris is trying to free him, even though SPAMTON wanted to kill them and asks them to cut off the last one. But instead of freedom, he falls on the ground and changes back to his original form. He understands that he will never be anything more than a puppet and that he will never truly be free. Both characters are pretty tragic but also very interesting, especially comparing them to Delta Warriors, but we'll discuss that later. In the third chapter, the freedom motif doesn't appear anywhere. It's a pretty unique dark world, however, as it was made by Chris themselves. Night only reaches it at the end, so they didn't have time to give anyone the shadow crystal. In this chapter we get it after defeating the Knight because they are sort of the secret boss in this chapter. However, freedom motif does not play in Black Knight because Knight is not a character who received the shadow crystal and went mad because of it, or at least understood the nature of this world. Roaring Knight's a lightener. They know what the dark worlds are because they create them. Their character is not in any way related to freedom. If the story had gone differently, we can guess that Ramp would have gotten the shadow crystal in this dark world. He literally says that freedom's a thing for big shots and it's related to the games, thanks to which we can get the shadow mantle. Even Deltarune.com/ramp shows us text reading, "If only you had something, your luck might have gone another way. No something, no crystal." It's a shame, it would have been nice to see him fight, but I like the idea of changing the pattern. Another change of the pattern is in chapter 4, where the secret boss with the freedom motif is GERSON Boom. I made a whole previous video about him, it's worth watching to fully understand his character. However, we must briefly say here what GERSON's attitude toward freedom is and why a few notes of this motif play at the end of his theme. This fact is very interesting. In GERSON's case, we don't hear the whole motif, but only a fragment of it. It's supposed to symbolize that GERSON is different from previous secret bosses and even Ram. You see, GERSON is just free. He used to be a lightener and lived his life how he wanted. And later he was able to overcome death, be reborn as the Darkener and send a letter to his son. His attitude was always simple though. He wasn't afraid of any prophecies and was the architect of his own fate. JEVIL only believed he's free and SPAMTON craved freedom with all his might. GERSON was just free. When Knight gave him Shadow Crystal, he didn't even care about it. He didn't care at all that it's not in the real world. He made the most of it instead of going crazy. He sent a letter to his son, defeated the Titan, and what's most important, he instilled his approach to life in Susie. Approach in which he's free and doesn't care about prophecies. Because he does whatever he wants. This is how GERSON is connected to freedom, and in my opinion this is exactly what Deltarune needed. GERSON gave us hope that the story may have a good ending. He is absolutely my favorite character, and if you want to listen to more of my rambling about him, then check out this video I made. The last time we hear the freedom motif is in the song Airwaves. a song playing in a minigame that we can access after defeating Mike. The whole Mike segment, however, is supposed to make fun of fan theories. That's why we have this Mike design there, cat Mike design, and also Mike as the friend inside me. It was really funny, but before the release I was really hyped to learn who Mike actually is. Anyways, going back to the motif, it is a double meaning there. On one hand, it's a motif in a song that plays after defeating a secret boss, because Mike is a secret boss, let's not deny that. Not the same sort of secret boss like JEVIL, SPAMTON or GERSON, but a secret boss nonetheless. On the other, however, it is simply supposed to refer to one of the fan theories that he will be the secret boss in chapter 3. Just as Mike's identity as a joke here, so is the freedom motif. And it doesn't have much more meaning. Okay, so what does this motif mean? What's the deal with the secret bosses? Why does Knight give them the crystals? Well, I don't have the answer to the last one, it seems that it's impossible to understand at the moment. All that we know is that Chris collects them because they believe that they can change something. Iram tells them, however, that their efforts are in vain. Knight definitely has some purpose in giving them to specific darkeners, but I personally have no idea why he would do it and how it would help their plans in any way. Something that I realized, however, is that each of the secret bosses is a reflection of one of the main characters. You might have thought they were only referring to Chris, especially after chapter 2 with SPAMTON, but it's not really the case. Yeah, in my interpretation, it's SPAMTON who's connected with Chris, but JEVIL and GERSON, not really. Let's start with SPAMTON though, since I already built them up. First of all, the entire path to the secret boss fight was made by Chris themselves. They took the deal with SPAMTON and created the Neo version of him themselves. Later, SPAMTON wanted to steal their soul because he thought it'd give him freedom. SPAMTON is a puppet just like Chris is for us. We control them just as SPAMTON is controlled by his strings. One of his attacks is even his heart coming out of him, just like the soul coming out of Chris during fights. SPAMTON is meant to illustrate that Chris is just a puppet for our soul. Let's also listen to what he says in Big Shot. He's describing the soul. He says it pulls the strings until it's taken out. He also doesn't want to explain something to Chris because he knows the soul will hear it. GERSON's next. I think it's pretty obvious, but he's a reflection of Susie. Throughout chapter 4, he tries to motivate her to learn how to heal. She's the only one who fights him and they're similar in personality. They're brave, courageous, direct. They get along perfectly. GERSON also has an axe in his study and can attack with a root buster. Time for JEVIL. Connecting him with Rousey may seem unexpected, but if you think about it, it makes a lot of sense. JEVIL thinks he's free, that he's different from other darkeners. He believes everyone else is imprisoned and that he can do anything. We know he feels really lonely in his cell. Rousey also felt lonely waiting for Chris and Susie to arrive. He's definitely not like the other darkeners, because he can move around all of them and never change into stone. He fits in them all. Just like JEVIL, he also knows what Dark Worlds really are as if he had a Shadow Crystal himself. He also believes that by being nice he can change the prophecy, but in reality he's his prisoner. JEVIL similarly lied to himself that he was free. If this, in my opinion, incredibly interesting trend continues, it is very possible that there will be another part of the weird route in chapter 5, and the secret boss will be someone reflecting Noel. We know it will probably appear at Asgard and he uses fire magic. A secret boss related to ice would fit really well as someone who doesn't fit in, and would be the perfect candidate to get the Shadow Crystal from the Knight and the perfect way to further develop the weird route. But we'll see in a year. Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, I'd like to ask you to support it. You can leave a like, a comment, or subscribe for more Deltarune content. And share the video with other people that like Deltarune and may find it interesting. Until the next one, and...
Stop posting about
Freedom MOTIF!
I'm tired! My friends on TikTok send... on... It's gay! I was in...
You're out!
Right? And all of the channels are just...